family? What is going on, Breaking Brown family? What is going on? How is everybody doing? Ready to talk a little bit of politics, but Breaking Brown family, before we talk politics today, how's everybody doing? What's going on, Carbon? What's going on, Forrest? What's going on, everybody? Before we talk politics today, we have to take a moment. We have to take a moment. I mentioned it earlier on my Facebook page. We have to take a moment because what we gonna talk about today ain't gonna take long no way. Like, we're gonna put this to bed real quick because we don't really have a lot to sift through. Although I can be long-winded. So here's what I want to say, Breaking Brown family. Here's what I want to say. Please get your libation. And today, ladies and gentlemen, you probably, normally I say get your orange juice, get your chamomile, whatever you want to get, whatever gets you ready to get in bed, or whether you got to work nights, or whether you need coffee, whatever you need. But since we have a celebration today, we have finally hit 50K. 50,000 subs, nobody paid for them. This is just all you. So, ladies and gentlemen, tip your glass and pat yourselves on the back. And people say, well, why you say it's all us? No, because you can walk away. At any moment, you could just walk away and decide you don't want to do this no more. People do that all the time. It is what it is. So please tip your hat. We have moved this to 50K. We will do another celebration at 100K or whatever. But for right now, all right. Now, Breaking Brown family. Let's see. One of the things I asked for today was some of the Breaking Brown isms, right? Like, for those of you who weren't around during the early days, one of the things I used to say is like, treat me like a white woman with a cat. Somebody said before I said that, I said treat me like a white woman with a dog, because we have this thing where when we come in this country, or we're in this country as Americans, and we're viewed like, well, you're not really American. And I said, you need to treat me the same way you treat the rich white lady. You jump for her and do everything for her. Treat me that way. So what I want to do during the show is if at any point, let's try to figure out where we can use the isms, right? So you may have another one like, what's one of the other things I say all the time? That's not how any of this works. That's not how any of this works. Or either you stupid or you think I'm stupid. So the job for today, ladies and gentlemen, the job for today is try to figure out as best we can. Try to figure out which isms work for which situation in the story that we're about to get to. We have to figure out which ism works for which situation. So let's try to do that. And so we have a few more. Before I get to the story of the day, let me just say a few more. We have... maybe you're a stupid person. Me trying to pronounce names that I can't pronounce. Usually foreign names, saying I have an American tongue. You don't know enough of this conversation. You're a moron. I don't mean to be mean. Of course, get your libations. For me, the most recent one is not today, Chad. Not today. Y'all remember that one. So what we're going to try to do is just go through a lot of them. Everybody like you just don't know enough. But we're going to try to get through some of them, and we're going to try to have this conversation, because apparently you can have 4%, African DNA and apply for all sorts of things. But please like the video, fam. That's how we grow. That's how we've been growing. Please share it. Share it on your pages. Share it elsewhere. Do what you got to do. There's another one. Who you? Please just have it. Please share it around just as best as you can. I'd appreciate it. Antonio Moore's favorite is 310. You know who it is. These are a lot of Breaking Brown isms. I know I'm missing a lot of them. Of course, who you? He's not your reparations, scavengerism. That's just weird. So I'm gonna say it slow so you can hear me. I'm gonna let you talk. I'm gonna let you finish, fam. I'm gonna let you finish. That's another one. So we're gonna. I think we have to. Somebody said we have to start collecting these isms. I think we do too. Because I just say them off the cuff, so I have no idea after the show what I actually said, because things move so fast. So please please like, please subscribe, please share it. And I'm just going to try to get to it. The first thing I have to do, though, is a bit of housekeeping. For those of you who will be in Chicago on the 6th, it's Saturday, October the 6th from 12:30 to 3:30, 6423 West 63rd Place, Chicago, Illinois. That's 6423 West 63rd Place, Chicago, Illinois. I will be there 12 to 3:30. We're going to have a conversation. Breaking Brown family is inviting me out, and so this is like, this is like a Chicago Breaking Brown meetup. So if you are going to be in the area this weekend, I would love to see you there, hug your neck, and talk about some Breaking Brown isms. If you're going to be in the area, please show up, show out, and we can enjoy ourselves. So I want to get to this. I know you all have seen this, and the only reason I know everybody has seen this article is because this article has shown up in my inbox at least 35 times. So I know you've seen it. I know it's what you're talking about because I get this article every day, and I'm not complaining. Like, half of the stuff I get, half of the stuff that comes to me, I get it because the Breaking Brown family is looking out for me and sending me stuff. That's why I say family, because I tell people all the time, it don't really matter if you block me on Twitter, if you block me on Instagram, family just gonna send it to me. So you just wasting your time with all that blockity block. That's just what it is. So we see this, and it says his DNA test came back 4% black. And we've discussed race, and we've discussed the consequence of race in America. Because the consequence of race here isn't the same as the consequence of race everywhere. American blackness in this country is a very specific kind of animal. It's a very specific kind of beast. But this guy claims I have DNA test came back 4% black. He's a white man. He says he wants to qualify as a minority business owner. And see, one of the things that we heard, or one of the things that I saw a lot online, was people saying, well, this is outrageous. He's outrageous. He came back 4% black, and now he wants to claim that he's 4% African. See how we make that leap from African to black? No, not the same thing. That's a region. That's not a color. That's not a race. So let's kind of make that distinction, because we're going to come back to that distinction in a little while. And you all know, if you've been watching this show, one of the books that I recommended was Racecraft. So the Fields sisters wrote Racecraft. Barbara Fields, and I forget the other sister's name. Somebody throw it out in the chat. So if you haven't gotten that book, if you haven't picked it up, please pick it up. It's going to clarify some things for you. In terms of race and racism and the creation of race in America, and how this guy can claim that. So I'm looking at it, and one of the things that I see when I see this, and people say, well, Yvette, what is he doing? Why is he claiming this, and how can he claim this? One of the things that I want to say is, understand that what he's doing is not new. Understand that what he's doing is not rare. Understand that what he's doing is hiding Africanness in his blood until there is an access point that he can use to advantage himself. So, what am I saying? So if there's no way for us to go up to somebody and scan them and see how much African blood they have in them and then decide that they're black. Now, we used to say that there was a one-drop rule, but there was still no way you could go and take some blood and nothing like that. It didn't work that way. It was all about physical features, which never really made sense. So you had a race because they had a wide nose. You had a race because they had melanin. That was never race. That was never a thing, but that's kind of where we are. So you hid that African blood away. You were not concerned, even though we just got DNA testing, but something tells me before there were minority contracts and minority businesses and quote unquote all this stuff to take advantage of, you were not interested in finding out whether or not you had that 4%. Now you're interested because there's something to advantage. But he's not the only one to do that. He's certainly not the first one to do that. But let's just look at what he said a little bit further. Let's just go a little bit further. In 2010, Taylor took an Ancestry by DNA, not Ancestry DNA. This is a whole nother company, I understand, that's now defunct or whatever. Ancestry by DNA test. He said, just to confirm what he'd already known, the results said that he was 90% European, or as the country people say, European, and 6% indigenous American, as well as 4% sub-Saharan African. So he wants to use that 4% to advantage himself. Well, you know who else has done that? White women have done that, but in a different way. And we're going to talk about a few people. We're going to talk about how what this man did is actually not nearly as rare as we tend to think of it. This is not a rare thing that he's doing. This is not something new or something different. This is not anything, excuse me, fam, that has not been done before. We had Rachel Dolezal. She was transracial or whatever she was. And I'm sure if you checked her blood, you would find, since we're all mixed in this country, for the most part, I'm sure you would find some other stuff mixed up in there. And she would claim, but she was claiming it before that she's transracial. You can be trans everything. Recreate your whole self. So, for those of you who find that upsetting, I want to say, before I even get to our white women friends, I'm just going to give you an overview. I want to say, didn't Obama do the same thing? Didn't Obama say that he was American black? He was one of us. There was an affinity there. And he cloaked himself in that. Didn't he say that? And he cloaked himself in that. He cloaked himself in that kind of thing. Even though he was Kenyan, and we have no connection to Kenya. We come from West Africa. Kenya is East Africa. And if he'd actually looked like his Kenyan daddy, we probably would have seen him as foreign because they have different features. But he had a white mama. So like Antonio Moore, we probably connected more with him through the mama. And she probably had more American black DOS blood than Obama's Kenyan daddy. But he cloaked himself in this. He masked himself. Not in DNA, but in pretending and being a chameleon. And pretending to be us to access what we have. So when we saw stuff like this at the time, we didn't necessarily realize what it was. But you were masking, you were using African Americanness to make yourself, American. So we will forget about that. We forget about the fact that the right wing was calling you Barack Hussein Obama. And I ain't never met a Negro that grew up near me. Tyrone, Mike. Malik, Hussein isn't a name that we tend to name our kids, but you cloaked yourself in us. Even though you white mom, Kenyan father, but you cloaked yourself in us via our culture. So you use the culture of us to kind of mask who you were. You sang our songs. You know, amazing. You sang, you did it all. Right? Isn't that what you did? Let me move this out the way. So what I'm saying is that what I want to get to the point of, we have every right to be upset at what this guy is doing, but we also have every right to get upset at what everyone's doing. And we have to understand something about these DNA tests too. They're not static. Like mine changed, but it didn't change the ratio more than like 2% of European to African, but it dropped my Nigerian down to 2% from 8. So, but I kid. Nigerian family, I kid. But I'm telling you, like friends, allies. We're not family. I don't do kinship. But in terms of, different countries. But what I'm saying is that this is a con. This is a con that's been played on us. And it hasn't just been played by this white guy. We have to see this as being... See, we don't see the con when people have melanin. And a lot of times we don't even see the con when the person is just like a woman with a vagina because she's white. So when you look at this, you see these women. California becomes first state to require women on corporate boards. Now I want to ask you a question. When's the last time you saw, or when's the first time, forget the last time, when's the first time you saw, or have you ever seen a law at any state level that requires one American black or one DOS person on a board, on a corporate board. Now hold on. Given what we've experienced, everything from slavery to Jim Crow, Reconstruction, convict leasing, redlining, mass incarceration, there is no question which group has been the designated bottom in this country. We have been designated to eat the failure. Let me tell you, the con of white women and white feminism is to separate themselves and somehow carve them out from their group. So we see them as women as opposed to white people. No, y'all, all just white people. Because wealth is carried in the family. Wealth is not carried individually. So you carve yourself out from there and you get a minority set aside or something like that. You get a minority set aside or a minority contract just like you or like me. But you're married to somebody who's a white man, typically. You're married to a white man. Or you have a white father, white uncle, white brother, white cousin, white male cousin, white male. So you are connected to the wealth of white maleness while carving yourself out and apart from it. And the problem then becomes, like we always talk about, how black women try to mimic that without having a male counterpart who is the same as that white male counterpart. But that's what she does. She carves herself and say, I want affirmative action too. So we get this person who is so confused because they don't like affirmative action. No, what they really don't like is affirmative action for us. They like affirmative action for them. But they go home and they get confused because they listen to their husband or their dad and they say, and they talking about affirmative action for us, not even understanding what they really get and how they use it. So I don't like it for you. I love it for me though. I love it for me. I deserve it. But you really don't. So you have to understand one thing. You have to understand if you don't understand anything else that comes from this show. Like if you just watch this one show and you don't understand anything else, what I want you to understand is that there has been a long con ran on American DOS, descendants of slaves, and that con has not just been run by one group. We have in our minds that this has just been run by white men. Oh my God, they're so awful. These white men just been running a con. And how dare this white guy to decide that he wants to be able to claim anything, right? But when you talk about white men, let's talk about you have to talk about it in totality. You have to talk about the white men that built little mixed race children or the white men who did. You have to talk about who is anchored in whiteness, because you can be something else but be anchored in whiteness. Like here's an example. So this is why we can't look at melanin. Melanin is not the thing that we need to look at to decide who is part of your family. Melanin is just a physical feature. Nappy hair is a physical feature. That is not the primary designation. We need to talk about lineage. The melanin is not the primary way that we figure out who is part of our group. So his grandmother was like a banker, and she left Barack Obama 6 figures. When's the last time? I just want to ask the question. When's the last time one of y'all have been left? I never have. 6 figures. When's the last time you've been left 5 figures? Anybody leave you $10,000? So this guy is anchored in the wealth of whiteness because when you look at one of the studies, there was a study about white people living off of the money of their parents and grandparents. And one of the markers they use as the low bar is 10,000. Because that's when it starts to become meaningful. And that's when it can make a difference. So, how many, a show of hands, how many people in my chat right now have gotten at least $10,000 from your parents or grandparents? It can be an aunt or an uncle too. I'll wait. So, listen, she left this grandmother. This grandmother left $400,000 Only 5% of blacks are worth $350K hard. Hold on. She left Barack Obama $400,000 in like stock. $400,000. Only 5% of blacks are even worth $350K hard. Understand where she put him at. When you have somebody white in your family that puts you there, they anchor you in whiteness and anchor you in white wealth. The fact that even if you were a DOS person, you could not speak for regular DOS people. But because of who you are and you're anchored in whiteness in the private school, I did a whole thing when I first started the show about the private school he went to, how much it cost, how the granddaddy had to use his connections, which is social capital because he's white, to get Obama in that school. You were anchored in whiteness, and then you know what you did? You came and cloaked yourself in Jay-Z. You came and cloaked yourself in Amazing Grace. You came and cloaked yourself in singing Al Green. That's what you did. And see, I want to put us in a space where we can never allow these people to cloak themselves and hide what they're anchored in so we don't see who they are. And it's not just this 4%er guy. He tried and failed. But everybody is using what we had. Understand that LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, understand that he made the affirmative action speech at Howard University. And he spoke specifically in terms of us not being allowed to run that race. And it's even worse than that, but he didn't have the data. But he spoke in terms of us not being allowed to run that race and not being in play. Because they took us off. Like it's like having a Monopoly game and you say, well, y'all can't play. Well, wait a minute. Well, not only can't you play, I'm going to use you as the tools. So it's kind of like that analogy that Antonio had a while back, a year or so ago. Like we weren't in the race and we were just behind. No, we were the shoes that white people use to run the race. So we were not in the race and they got a head start and they up there and we back here. No, that's not how it happened. We were the shoes. And now the shoes is tore up and you trying to throw us away and put on new shoes. You want to put on Mexican shoes. You want to put on black immigrant shoes. You want to put on new shoes and you want to throw us away. And what I'm saying is no. There's no throwing away and there's no welcoming. And why in the world are we welcoming our new shoes? Like if you're the shoe and you need the person, like not only I need you not only to fix the shoe, but you need to make the shoe a person. I need you to work magic. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you got to do it for me to survive, right? I'm not going to be like, well, I like those shoes. Those some nice Mexican shoes. Those some nice Nicaraguan shoes. You should wear those. You don't see them your replacement shoes. Ain't nobody going to keep the old shoes. And I need you to do some magic and make the shoe like you know that you want to throw the shoe away. Like we don't really understand how white America, and that includes white women, all you Me Too white women. I was watching the Brett Kavanaugh hearing with the woman, and everybody was like, "Oh, she's so believable," and he is just so awful. And the only thing I could think as I looked at the TV was, you know what? Both of them people look like somebody who fired me or tried to fire me. They look like because I couldn't see, like, what are you talking, how do you know, like, how do you look at this? And I don't run no elite circle, so I don't know anyway. But both of these people look like a real threat for my life. In terms of like, I have had to deal with those people in my life, both people who look like that. Because white men just come at you different. Well, I don't like it. And I you know, Yvette's gonna have to go. And white women are like, well, we tried to really, we tried to work it out, and I don't know about the fit. We do a lot of pattern matching, and I don't know. Are you thinking that maybe we could do something else, maybe in a different department? Same thing, no. And so, this guy, when you look at Obama, like, let me bring this back up. Like, he's like the guy he's like the 4% guy who wants to claim blackness. How is he different? How is he different? Oh, because there are more points. No, you're not anchored in the lineage. How many people in your family were sharecroppers? Well, your grandparents certainly were not designated as DOS in this country because they were white. Your father was not designated as DOS because he was Kenyan. So you're not anchored in this experience. So how are you any different than the white guy who is claiming to be us by having 4% DNA? You're just claiming to be us because you can't catch a cab. Well, I grew up here and I can't catch a cab. Well, Barack, you didn't have any problem doing anything most of your life. You had a bunch of different Rainbow Coalition friends, and mostly a lot of white men, all white girlfriends. You didn't seem to have a lot of trouble doing anything. If anything, you led a mostly white life and you cloaked yourself. You are no different in terms of how you fooled us and how you became a chameleon to steal from us, because really and truthfully, we should have had an American black DOS president if we were going to have anything. I'd rather not have anything than to have had this Negro. Isn't it insane that we had a Kenyan white president and we still haven't had our president? You know what else we got? You know what else we got? Even when we talk about, I'm not going to go there. I'm not even going to go there yet. I'm going to build up to it. But what I want to say is that this is not new. And what we have, it's not just Obama either. We have people who are trying to build like this kind of minority status through brownness. And I told you, like, collectiveness and lineage is not Crayola. It's not built through color. It's not built through, melanin is just a physical feature. Slanted eyes are just a physical feature. Big ears are a physical feature. Curly hair, physical feature. That is not race. And you cannot connect with us through that. And you do not have our lineage and history in this country, because what we have in this country is basically a caste system. And we are at the bottom, and we're at the bottom because of our lineage, not just because of our color. And you say, well, no, Yvette, they hate brown bodies. Well, there's a lot of brown bodies right here. There's a lot of brown bodies right here when you look at the CEOs who are Indian. These are Indian CEOs, Indian American CEOs, and it's like 11 of them that I'm looking at right now. There might be more, but we got everybody from Adobe to Microsoft to what's this guy? He's at MasterCard. We got all these people, and we only got, understand that what you're looking at is immigrants, Indian CEOs, but we're asking ourselves, well, where the black CEOs at? So we don't have none, and they have everything, and we've been here 400 years, and that don't seem like a caste system to you? You can't make this about melanin. They got melanin too, but they winning. They just got here, and they winning because we're on the bottom of a caste system. They have a caste system in their country too, which I've talked about. Understand, listen, understand, family, that one of the good things that Ta-Nehisi Coates did is that he asked Obama about reparations. And just like probably the 4% guy, Obama said no. Obama said, well, we have immigrants here and they might think it's unfair, and I just think you want recognition. You know, what black people, what American blacks really want is recognition. You know, what I've tried to get across to everybody is that what you heard in that moment is a man who doesn't understand what it means to be a descendant of slaves in this country. We are not after recognition. That's what you want, Obama, because you're a narcissist. That's why you always like to be on a TV show and smile, and you love to be loved. You were the ingratiator in chief. That's who you were. You loved it when people paid attention to you, and people loved on you and petted you and rubbed up next to you like kitty cats. But like, that's not who we are. We want a wealth positionality because of what our ancestors contributed, and we want, you know, go figure, not to be the trash compactor and the garbage disposal for America. And for you to say that there's something in us that wants and needs recognition, as opposed to looking at the data, which shows that what we lack, and it's not made up for in education, it's not made up for in trying to be a business owner, it's not made up for in having a job, it's not made up for in anything, is wealth. We don't have wealth. Having wealth and not having wealth means not being allowed to be American. The fact that you minimized that and made it about recognition. And then you put immigrants ahead of the people who built this country. Descendants of slaves. The slaves built this country. The sharecroppers built this country. You took it away from us. And you said, well, no, it's not about what they want. It's about these immigrants might not want to pay that. Because I side with them, because like my dad, and I understand them and these communities. But you cloaked yourself, you cloaked yourself in the dude who used to sell drugs at Marcy Pride. That's what you cloaked yourself in. But that ain't who you really represent. That ain't who you really understand. You use us kind of like a little ornament to kind of show to other people, yeah, I'm cool, and you put your list up, and I listen to Jay-Z, and I brush the dirt off my shoulders, and I'm real smooth. That's what you do. But that's not who you are. And that's never been who you are. And so now what we're faced with other Obamas. Like it's not just him. Like Kamala is another Obama. Like I don't have any. Listen, people say, well, Yvette, should Kamala not run for office? I got no problem with her running for office. But when I look at Kamala, I see an Indian, because that's what she is. She's Jamaican and Indian, and her aunt said everything that Kamala is because of her mother. Well, I don't have anybody else, so I believe the aunt. I will believe the aunt when the aunt says that, like, Kamala is crafted by her Indian mother. So you are an Indian American. That's fine. But you don't get the claim to be me. You don't get the, well, I went to Howard University. I'm an AKA. Ski weep, ski weep, ski weep. And I'm supposed to just come like that's some kind of bat signal. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Did you hear that? That's the AKA. That's the signal. No. No. Like, do you know when the AKA started? Sweetheart. Do you? Like, no, that's not. No, that doesn't work anymore. So you should judge Kamala based on her policies. And you should judge those policies based on what they have and can provide for us. You should not base it. I like Kamala. She's real. Did you see her on the Breakfast Club? I did a show about it a while back, and I watched it. And one of the things that struck me is that how flat she was. Like, she couldn't go back and look at that interview with Kamala. Like, she couldn't even vibe with the people. It was like watching like Hillary Clinton did a better job at the Breakfast Club than Kamala Harris did. She was so out of step and so like stunted, and I don't really know how to talk or I don't even know how you went to Howard University that long and you still couldn't, like, you still didn't figure black people out, like American black people. You still didn't figure that out, obviously. So what I'm trying to get to, and I'm going to make this point, because the point that I made a second ago was about white women. So let me just put this up in terms of white feminism. You get one person on the board. Now, I don't know if you all remember, California, you got to have one white woman on. It's going to be a white woman. Or it's going to be not you. It's going to be a diverse woman. So she could be Latino. She could be Indian. And we're going to get to why you being the only Negro woman on the board ain't going to work. Because a lot of black women are trying to use that. Well, I'm just going to slip in and I'm going to be, I am woman, hear me roar. It's not going to work. You're going to be chum. Know what chum is? You ever watched the little National Geographic with the sharks? Anyway, so I want to bring this up, and I'm going to come back to this. Because now that's a quota. Understand, that's a quota. When you say one white woman on the board, it's got to be one. I keep saying white woman. Wonder why. When you keep saying it's got to be one woman on the board, that's a quota. Now, I want you all remember Super Predator about Bill Clinton by Nathan J. Robinson. I interviewed him on my channel a while ago. So if you want to see that interview, you can go back and watch it. But you all remember this, right? Now, I wonder if you all remember what he said, and this is in an article, actually, about Lonnie Guinier. Now, I want to preface this about Lonnie Guinier. Lonnie Guinier came from an elite black household. Her father, now African-American, but her father was the first black person to chair, like, the African-American department at Harvard. Her mama was like a speech therapist or something, and like so what did I tell you about how long it takes to build a career? So she's in academia, She's in academia. She's doing her thing. Bill Clinton picks her for a post over at the Justice Department. I think it was like EEOC or something. Can't recall. But he picks her. And I'm just going to give you a taste of what happened to her. Now, white women are doing their quotas, and everybody's loving their quotas. And they're talking about, yes, we have to include women, and this is wonderful. When that's women, and this is wonderful. That kind of quota is okay. The Me Too quota is fine. But let's just do a little background, can we? The same thing occurred in the case of Lonnie Guinier, the acclaimed scholar Clinton appointed to be Assistant Attorney General. When it emerged that Guinier had once written about the possibility of readjusting voting districts to correct prior racial imbalances in representation, Clinton withdrew her nomination, calling her work anti-democratic and difficult to defend. Clinton didn't even tell her he was withdrawing the nomination. She saw it in the news. He then attempted to make amends by declaring that, I think she's wonderful. If she came to me and asked for $5,000, I'd go down to the bank and give it to her. No questions asked. Now understand first of all how racist this is. Bill Clinton is trash, poor white trash. Now Lonnie Guinier's father was Harvard. She's Harvard. But he says something as racist as, well, if she asked for some money, I'd give her to the, but I can't support what she's doing now. Please understand, like, if there's nothing, let me pull up, let me just show you. I'm gonna try to pull up. For those of you who don't know, I'm gonna try to pull up a picture, because I know some of you, this might have happened before your time. This may have happened before your time. I understand. It's fine. But understand what he said and understand. See, we don't understand what this means and what he was alluding to. And the importance of what she was trying to say. See, and I'm going to break that down to you in just 1 second. I'm going to break down to you the importance of what she was trying to say. Right? In terms of people say, well, what? I don't understand what she was trying to say. What did she mean? What did she mean when she said what she said? Well, this is Lonnie Guinier, African American but lighter skin, right? Harvard, all that stuff, and you still have to be put down by this redneck, Ku Klux. So we say all that. I'm saying all that to say this. When you have Bill Clinton saying that, what she was saying was this. Let me just put it in no uncertain terms. She was saying that when you have black districts, what happens most of the time is what we all call tokenism, right? So people carve out black districts in a certain way, but it leads to tokenism, not true representation. Now let me just say this. I want you to, as we're doing this, let's juxtapose Lonnie Guinier to Kamala Harris. Let's just play a little game. Kamala, she was Canadian. She went to high school in Quebec. Her name Kamala comes from Sanskrit. The word lotus, word for lotus. We are American DOS, and she kind of piggybacks on that, right? Harris' parents divorced when she was 7, and her mother was granted custody of the children by court order settlement. After the divorce, her mother moved the children to Montreal, Quebec, Canada, where my American tongue is hitting me again. Shayamala took a position doing research at Jewish General Hospital and teaching at McGill University. After graduating from Montreal's Westmount High School in Quebec, Harris attended Howard University in Washington, D.C., where she majored in political science and economics. At Howard, Harris was elected to hammer down on her listen, she was elected to Howard University, but see, these people have a plan the whole time. They have a plan. But you'll see, the problem is you'll see Lonnie Guinier, who represents a kind of elite bourgeois blackness. And you'll see her and you'll see the same thing as Kamala Harris, because they're both lighter skin, even though I think Lonnie's probably lighter skin than Kamala. And they both have wavy hair. So you'll see like these two black women the same. You'll even see Lonnie Guinier probably is somewhat worse because she's lighter skinned, because we have this thing, if you're less black, if you have less melanin and all that stuff. Understand, this is the problem. You won't even see what Lonnie Guinier wrote in terms of proportionality. Now let me get to what she was saying. First of all, what Lonnie Guinier was saying was that you have these token politicians. They carve out these black districts, but that's not true representation. Because what's the difference? That's one of the quotes. What's the difference between what's the difference between one billionaire and two billionaires? And I said, what's the difference, what's better, what was the quote? What's better than one billionaire, two? And it was talking about Jay-Z and Diddy. And I said, what's better than one billionaire or two billionaires is a stable black community, a black middle class. That's another one of our Breaking Brown sayisms. Write that down. Anyway, so what I'm saying about these two people, and Lonnie Guinier specifically, because Kamala Harris, you have to understand, she is not our black senator. She is an immigrant senator. That's who she is, and who went to school at Howard University. And you should see her as such. There's no affinity there. But what Kamala Harris was saying is that tokenism doesn't work, because sending one black rep out of a black district to Congress doesn't really change the power dynamic. So she had this whole complex argument of having proportionality in such a way that, black votes still mattered even though they were in white districts. And that wasn't quotas, but it was viewed as quotas. There was no Me Too movement when the Clintons kicked her to the curb. There was no Me Too. There was no I am black woman or I am woman, hear me roar. She got kicked to the curb, and Bill Clinton said, I give her $5,000, but that's about it. And that's where we went. But y'all can have quotas, right? So white women can have quotas and do everything they want to do and how they want to do it. But that somehow is viewed as not working for us. So we can't have, even though the bottom has always been DOS. It ain't never been white women. You've never been the bottom. You married to the top. You can't be the bottom and be married to the top. What kind of con are you running? And let me just say something. As we talk about Lonnie Guinier, one of the things that we also have to understand, and let me just, I'm gonna see if I can find this clip as I bring this up, because one of the things that we have to understand, you all remember when I brought Oprah's Golden Globe speech up a while back, and I think you have to understand that there are black women in Hollywood and in boardrooms who are running a con, or they're trying to run a con, but they can't. They're really trying though. And they're trying to I'm going to find my way into the door with these white women. And it's not going to work, and I'll tell you why. And I know a lot of y'all black business people and black professors watch the show. I know. So let me tell you how. Let me tell you why it's not going to work. Let me tell you why you're on a fool's errand. I said wealth is held in families, right? Didn't I say that? You have to, let's go back for 1 second, because I want to preface this. Remember the number of black CEOs. So in terms of what they normally call C-suite, there's nobody to protect you. There's no web of wealth around you to cocoon you. And you don't have a brother or a father, uncle, co-workers. You don't have that. And because of how wealth is held, when you get there, you don't have anything to do anything with. So you remember Amy Schumer is related to Chuck Schumer, right? So if something goes left or whatever, she can say, I'm going to call my uncle the senator. Great uncle, cousin, whatever he is to her, I don't care. You are there with nothing. You are there with absolutely nothing. You are there among sharks with nothing. You got these little bitty nibs, kind of gnawed off teeth. Sharks' teeth is strong. They sharp. You there with nothing. And so But white women are kind of using you on that level as sort of a prop, right? Because they need you, and so we get Oprah to come out here, and tomorrow she's going to be doing cauliflower crust pizza, but today we're going to get her to come on here and talk about what we need her to talk about. And it's not going to work because you don't, not only that, you don't like, as a group, see, in order for you to make it, we would have to have made it as a group, as a race. It doesn't work if we haven't made it as a race, because our group isn't there. And so if our group isn't there in numbers, you're really not there. Not in any kind of way that matters. Because you can be taken advantage of because you're not really there. You can't really show up. White women are poised for this. This is their time. This is their move, and they know it. I don't know what you're doing. You need to stick with your group and talk DOS politics and DOS policies. Carving you out of the group is not good for you, and it's not good for them. And there's no government, and wealth is calcifying, right? See, you have to understand that, like, for you, and if you're a black woman and you're in C-suite, race is the thing that shuts you out. It's not gender. Gender has never shut you. Gender is never been. That's not what shuts you out. Nobody looks at a black woman and says, "No, you're just a woman. I don't want." No, you're black. I don't do that. We're caste. So race is the thing that carves us out, and because our group is not there, and our group has been on the bottom and been made to be on the bottom. Everybody knows it. So when people look at you, they know you don't have any kind of structure supporting you. They don't have to look and be like, I wonder who she knows. I wonder who she's married to. I wonder what's going on. They don't have to know any of that. So we already have the shutout. And so when your wealth comes through family and not gender, everybody knows that you don't have the family to be there. So what that means is that you become the thing that is taken advantage of and advantage. So you get taken in. So listen. You're going to be there with these other women as long as you shout me too. And as long as we're in this moment. When this moment is over, you're over. You're going to be charmed for the sharks. And don't think that they're sharks. That their husbands are sharks. People love to talk about white men and talk about their husbands. Don't you think that their husbands are sharks and their wives aren't. They sleep together every night, sweetheart. And they're going to get you. You have to have your group. Your group has to rise. What does Alexander say all the time? Either we rise together, fall together. Ain't going to be no separation. If you really think you can carve yourself outside of this, you in trouble. But ain't nobody coming to rescue you because you wasn't for the group when it was time to be for the group. So I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, what you need to do, what you need to... I don't know. We all women together till it's time to form alliances. It's time to move on. And you don't have a group. When your group is the bottom of a caste, you don't have a group. And that means your only advocacy should be your group. Because gender hasn't been what it... You've lost opportunities. Black women, yes, we absolutely have. But we lost them because we black. We ain't lost them because we women. We lost them because we black. I understand that, like, if you talk about, I want Oprah to be my mentor. I want Auntie O be my mentor. Understand that your mentor was built by affirmative action and government. Your mentor wasn't built by anybody else but government, but you don't want government. That's who built your mentor. She didn't build herself. Oprah came about during the time where the FCC was putting pressure on radio stations and TV to hire more blacks and more women. And when they looked at Oprah, they said, "Oh, we got a twofer." So if you want to be Oprah, you don't do that without government, and you don't do that without some policies that say, listen, you gotta put some Negroes in place. That's how you do it. That's how Oprah did it. She doesn't understand that's how she did it. She thinks she did it through magic. She thinks the secret and believing. No, that's not how Oprah did it. And so there are some things, that we have to understand. One of the things that I understand about my life very clearly, there are people in life who can give you pointers. And I hope on some level that I give you pointers in terms of how to navigate. There are people who can give you pointers. There are people who give me pointers. Sometimes they don't even intend to. Nobody can give you a map. Oprah can't give you no map. She don't even know how she got there. That's why how do you think she fell into the whole secret trap? I don't know. I must have thought about it. And I bet you, yeah, I thought, and I believe, like people there are a lot of great studies about how people do hindsight and try to make it make sense in a way that it doesn't make sense. But Oprah has no map for you. I don't even think Oprah don't really understand her own map and trajectory. This is something that we have to decide and figure out ourselves on our own. She don't have no map. Oprah was made. These people didn't make themselves. They were made. And part of what made her was government. And there's no shame in that because what you needed to make yourself was robbed from you. That was taken away. What I say, you were taken off the board. Everybody was playing and somebody said, not only are we going to play, we're going to make you the little shoe of our little toy, of our little horse. Do-doop, do-doop, do-doop. You little hooves now. You didn't do that. We didn't do that. And we have no moral burden for that. That's the people who did that to us have the moral burden to bear, not us. And the people who still eat that fruit have the moral burden to bear, not us. So you have to get that through your head. But I think everybody has to understand that when we go back to this 4% guy, we have to understand that he's just doing what the people around Oprah, the women and all these people in the Me Too, like everybody is trying to advantage. Now hold on. Here's the problem though. Here is the problem. Nobody let Frederick Douglass advance. Frederick Douglass would have one white parent. He was never allowed to access whiteness. And whiteness isn't whiteness as in skin color. Whiteness is normalization in America. Stop thinking of it as a color. That's why everybody else can advantage it. I can walk by a blue-purple Indian man and he has accessed whiteness. He's like, hello, Chad, how you doing? And everybody just doesn't even see his melanin no more. It don't even exist. But for us, that's all they see, right? It's just like, you're not like us. That is, we have been made abnormal. Everybody else has been made normal. We don't care whether you can be Latino, be made normal. Indian, be made normal. You can be the darkest person in the world from somewhere else and you be made normal because you're not one of them. We're a part of a caste. This has nothing to do with melanin. It has everything to do with lineage. And you have to understand that. And before you let people, you had Bill Clinton say a while back. How long ago did he say it? I'm going to see if I can find that clip. But Bill Clinton said that, well, we all mixed. That's true. Like part of what this guy's 4% shows is that we really are all mixed. But what that shows is that that's the absurdity of race. But here's a clicker. They want to love to say that we're all mixed. And then just be like, well, race don't matter no more. No. You very intentionally made race matter for over 400 years. You don't get to now decide that race don't matter. Now, once you make us whole and you repay us for what you did in terms of making race matter, then we can move on. I'll get together with you. We can have a sandwich. I like sandwiches. We can have a sandwich and a Sprite and some Cool Ranch Doritos. But until then, until you make that right, you don't get to skip over the whole part where you make up for the time where you made race matter. You got to deal with that first. That has to happen first and foremost. We all Obama. We all mixed. Yeah. And then you have white people. Let me just say something. You have white people who will also know. You knew that you were mixed or whatever. And you just hid from that. And you ran away from your black family. Like when I did my DNA, I found like 3. And somebody said that, like that we're all running towards white people. I saw this on Twitter. And that's not what's happening, though. Like, when I saw my ancestors and I saw I had, like, some relatives who had a whole lot more white blood. I'm not running towards them for what? But it's obvious to me that you've been running away from me because I know all the rest of the black people that came up. I knew them by name. Oh, I know her. That's Latoya. Yeah, it's my cousin. I know her. Wait a minute. Who are you? You got all that Scandinavia. You got 20% of my black blood, but 80% of the white blood. And then I find your picture. Yeah, you've been playing white. See, that goes to show you how far you've been running. But now you want to run back because you can access it. So you were running away from because you could the features and okay, but now you want to run back. No, ain't no coming back. And this is why I have a problem with me. I mean with this tweet talking about the notions of race being genetic and scientific, and the notions are linked to some sort of the most racist eugenicist ideas. No, it's not really linked to that. It's linked to the fact, first of all, that we're a group that was cut off, right? And we see ourselves as that, even though we have enough to build on here, as I've said before. But the second thing is, two things are happening. You have black people who are saying, I don't even want to deal with that black blood. The opposite of what she's saying. Black people are like, I don't even want to deal with that white blood. I have people tell me, I don't care what the DNA test said, and the DNA test change all the time. I don't care what the test said. I'm African. All right, you're gonna make it be what it be, sweetheart. That's erasure. Then you have some people who are saying, you the opposite. But for the most part, no, I haven't met a lot of DOS people who are trying to like claim mixed raceness or whiteness. I just haven't seen that a lot. I've seen people who still like, I still come from kings and queens. All this stuff is erasure. You come from a lot of stuff, and it don't really even matter like that. Hush. You're not gonna trace yourself back. You're not gonna normalize yourself like that. So I think that this is problematic. Even when you look at, like, we don't look at policy, so we see Kamala Harris as like one of us. And here's what she said about the Dreamers. It is about being the voice of a state with the largest number of dreamers. That's what she said. She didn't say being a voice for DOS. She didn't say being a voice for American blacks. That's not what she said. She said it's about being a voice of the state with the largest number of dreamers, Harris told the Bee this week. They must be seen and heard. And I feel a strong sense of responsibility to use every component of power that I have in terms of my voice and ability to educate the public to make sure they are seen and not vilified. I understand, Kamala, because I feel the same way about DOS. I feel the same way about descendants of slaves. But you and I are not the same. You went to Howard University and you came out with this. You went there as a con or somebody failed you. Because this ain't what we are. Melanin is not race. A lot of groups, from Chinese to Indians to Koreans, a lot of groups have melanin. That's not a race. This what she's talking about, even when she says like reinforcing notions of race, no, and genetic superiority. No, there's been a whole slew. Didn't I just show you all the brown Indian CEOs, and there have been slews of CEOs at various Fortune 500 companies, various emerging countries, companies in emerging countries. Carlos Slim in Mexico. There's no belief anymore of in terms of Hitler or anybody globally that white people are better than brown people. No, that's not it. We are at a very specific place where we're talking about lineage. And if somebody believes that, they will probably say that in context of African American. They won't say that in terms of like just brown people in general. That's not what we are. And that's not where we're headed. This is like a really antiquated notion. And like, let me ask you a question. I showed you all of these CEOs, right? All of these quote unquote brown CEOs, they're all Indian American, right? Now I showed you them. Let me ask you a question. And I just want to just put it out there. What's the difference between all these Indian CEOs and Kamala Harris? Just tell me. I'm listening. What is the difference between all these Indian CEOs and Kamala Harris? Just tell me. What is the difference? What? She wasn't part of the lineage that we have in this country that's based on caste. She's a part of them. That's what our auntie said. I didn't say it. And if you ever want to know what makes us the same, it's our lineage. And lineage means we eat the cost. This white man with the 4%, he didn't eat the cost. We eat the cost. We have eaten the cost in this country. Everybody get the fruit. Well, we get the nuclear plant in our community. They get the nice schools. We eat the cost. Well, we don't get paid for the labor as slaves, right? But somebody gets to use us as slaves, build railroads, all sorts of stuff. We eat the cost. Well, somebody, that mass incarceration is happening, right? Overwhelmingly, I put the charts up, black men, right? Well, you see the guy in Mississippi who says, I'm not getting enough of my prisoners, because that's what his job depends on. People all in the county, people who build a prison. So we have prisoners in our family, ex-cons. We eat the failure. Him and his people, they eat the fruit. We eat the cost, they eat the fruit. So when you think about lineage, you have to think about that in terms of who we are. You have to think about has this person had the cost of being DOS in their family. Kamala Harris, Canadian, Jamaican, but we don't hear much about her daddy. Anchored in her mama, who's Indian. You didn't eat the cost. You ate the fruit. You ate the fruit. You used at Howard University and AKA, and you built yourself. You ate the fruit. We ate the cost. So you have to start thinking about this thing in terms of fruit and cost. In terms of the cost. You got to think about that. That's the quickest and easiest way for you to define lineage when you're trying to figure it out, because race and melanin gets very confusing. A lot of people look like us, not us. Cost. Eating that failure. That's what our group has been doing. So I want to leave you all at that. I'm going to take a quick break as usual, and then we're going to go to the phones, and I want to hear what you guys say about it. So 50K families, exciting time. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, all right. I'm going to go to the phones. Give me 3 or 4 minutes as usual, and we'll be back. going on, family? We are back and headed to the phone. Somebody said, wake up, Yvette. Sometimes I like to hear the music myself. Can I? After I set up the phones. So we're coming back, and we're gonna go to the phones. Looks like the lines are full. I'm trying to move one page to another page real quick so I can see two things at the same time. And somebody said that I finished that libation already. That libation is finished. But let me go to 914. 914. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
Hello, Yvette. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. How you doing?
Hey, Miss Yvette. I'm good. I usually don't. I usually listen to playbacks, and I'm glad I got through. And I caught you tonight. Excellent show. I sent you many emails. Always. My name is Crystal from New York.
Okay.
Hello?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. And what you said was right on point. It frustrates me sometimes when people, our people, descendants of slaves, don't even know how to identify their own, regardless of skin tone. Lonnie Guerrero, who you mentioned, around that time I was an adolescent, but that's cool. But at the end of the day, just by reading the policy she was trying to push, I can identify where she's coming from, and she was advocating for me. And so this is just indicative of people sometimes not reading their history and not comprehending their history. And I'm along, it just reminds me of what Otis said way back when about reading and comprehending. And just having a basic understanding of your history and just knowing who's advocating for you and not falling for the okie doke, if you will, of TV and all of that. And then that's part of, like, I'm the eldest of 5 kids or whatever. And then, people are working more and not raising their children, allowing TV to raise their kids, and they just don't teach them anything. And so this is and we're seeing the results of it. And I run into a lot of people who ignore the things that I've been saying for years, send out emails, get the word out, going to primary elections, debates, and whatever, but you got to go there and ask the hard questions. But if you don't do any research, how can you ask those hard questions?
No, I agree. But do we have any? And I agree with you. We have to ask hard questions. But like Breaking Brown family, do we have anything that we have decided like that? And you can put in the chat that we have decided, like as a group, these are things that we have to teach our kids. Like, this is something that our kid has to know. Like, when we talk about being a tribe, like, part of being a tribe is we have certain things that we pass down. And the things that we pass down are not only material things, but this knowledge. And it's a way of thinking. Do we have that? What do you think, Carla?
I think it depends. I think a lot of it has been broken. You have a lot of broken families because of the systemic, as a result of the systemic white supremacist, white racism that's happened in this country. We are a broken people. And we just got to pick up these pieces and fight back. And that's just the bottom line to it. I mean, you got to look out for all, and we're being come at every angle.
Okay.
I recently went against my own beliefs a couple of years ago and dated somebody who was Nigerian. And you can and then when they're pressuring you for marriage and all that, even in that point, you see the hustle. Everybody's trying to hustle. And everybody's trying to use us as their doormat, as their entryway in. And I don't care. And then just like you pointed out, these Kamala Harrises, the Baracks, I don't care what angle it's coming from. We have to be able to identify who is not for us and who is for us.
And quickly. And you have to do it quickly.
I'm sorry?
I said we have to do it quickly. You can't do it. You can't waste time with it. It has to come quick, like boom. I see you.
It has to be done very quick. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. You have to get off your tail. You got to get up and get out there. You have to organize as much as possible. You have to advocate for yourself. You have to go where I went to a thing where I saw somebody from the New York State Attorney General, this Alicia Eve. You know, she's half Dominican, half Black American, but you can see how somebody's playing to the crowd. So you got to ask those hard questions, and a lot of times the room will go silent, and they look dead at you like, what? Can you believe you even asked that question? And I had to ask her, do you have backbone to do X, Y, and Z? But she fell and fumbled. And then when I found out months later, she went to a National Action Network event because I know somebody who went and said, oh, I had backbone. These people learn from you.
Oh, I see something. I see that.
Their spot at that moment.
Yeah.
And you got to know your stuff.
Yeah.
And you don't have to know everything. You just need to know a little bit about a little bit.
I hear you, caller. Well, I want to thank you for calling in. I appreciate your call. But I tend to agree with you. You don't have to know everything. But one of the things that I see, even as like I see the Breaking Brown American DOS fam on Twitter, and I will see. She's right. I will see people kind of like pick up where we left off, or pick up off of something that was said on the show, or something like that. So I think it is true that like these people are learning from us, and I think we have to figure out like what to do with that and from that and how to move. I even think Hollywood picks up on us, but that's a whole other thing. I am going to 678. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? You there, 678?
Hello?
Yeah, what's going on, 678? What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Oh, this is Dundee from ATL.
What's going on?
First of all, this is my first time getting through.
Oh, wonderful.
And I'm not going to speak to what you taught this evening on the show. I'm just going to give you a whole lot of props.
Thank you.
You're brilliant.
Oh.
Everything that you speak about is probably like 95, 99% on. I think we need like 10 or 15 or 20 Yvette Carnells. When I look at your viewership at times, it disappoints me. You should have like 500,000 freaking views. You heard?
Oh, thank you, fam. Your mouth to God's ears, child.
I salute you. You're freaking brilliant. Black folks as a collective, we're just not a sophisticated people when it comes to understanding how the world works.
Well,
understand me. I'm 50. I just turned 50. I'm a hip 50. I come from a hip hop generation, and I just want to say I think that a lot of us just don't know how to be adults, act like adults, and approach things in an adult manner. And when I see you do your shows, speak, I don't think it's resonating like it should. I'm sad about that because I don't like when callers get up here and try to debate you. There is no freaking debate when you be spitting. You heard? It's like that chick knows what she's doing. She's skilled. She's worked on Capitol Hill. She's not talking out of ass. So are we to debunk anything she says. So anything you say, we should come from a position of embrace. You understand me?
I hear you, fam.
So when you feel me? So when you get a clown pontificating, trying to get at you or roast you, cut him off. I know what it's like to get paid from white folks. Understand me. I know what that upper echelon, that upper crust acts like. And for you to...
See, fam, I don't have no problem with people debating me. I just wanted to come from a factual place. Like, I feel like you should. If you feeling froggy, then you got to jump with your little long legs. So I don't really have no problem with that. But my problem is, like, you have to come. Is that a southern slang? If you feeling froggy, jump. But I think you just have to come from a place of, like, data. You can't come. I had a whole conversation, a whole debate with somebody I would not name in person. And, like, it was coming from a place of I believe as opposed to, like, Okay, but what is that based on? What is that anchored in? Well, like, no, but I believe, and
Absolutely.
it's not the same. So I appreciate you, caller. I appreciate the love. I'm gonna let you go because I'm trying to get as many people in like as I can, especially on our 50 day. But yeah, I don't know why. I've never been like a person like everybody's been wrong or like something wasn't, and I've been there too. But I'm not invested enough in myself and what I think of myself to be like stomp around and be mad. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Like if so I don't have a problem with like having a debate. I have a problem with people what I was just telling the caller. I was having a debate like this weekend, and I didn't understand what was happening at first, and then I figured it out. Every time I made a point, the person just started talking about something that wasn't related to the point, and I didn't realize it until later. So it's like if you all are having a debate on whether the dog should be spaded and neutered, you say, well, you gotta spay and neuter your dog because if you don't, it's gonna have babies, it's gonna be puppies everywhere, and it's just like, well, do you have a problem with veganism? It's like no, I don't got no problem with. What's it got to do? I don't understand. And so that's what it was. And I don't know whether it's a tactic. I don't know, but I don't have a problem with debate. But what I'm finding more and more now is that people aren't really debating. They're just saying stuff. You're just waiting for me to finish talking to say something that's really not related. It's just something. So I understand exactly what the caller's saying, but it's just a wild time to be alive. I'm going to 251. 251, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi there.
Hey.
This is Alicia.
Hey, Alicia.
Hi, this is from Seattle, Washington.
Oh.
I just want to say I love you, sis.
Thank you.
Oh, my gosh, I love you so much. You've actually changed my life.
Oh, wow.
I've been trying to have this debate at work for 3 years now. Yes, I work in an IT department in Seattle, and we just got our Black Caucus after I fought for it for 2 years, the Black Caucus. And the Black Caucus is centered around the Black American experience. But guess what happened?
What happened?
Two people, one woman from Kenya, one woman from Kenya,
okay,
and another Black American woman lobbied against me to get our focus off Black American centered.
Ain't that something?
So now it's the immigrant and Black American caucus.
Ain't that something?
I know, this just happened recently. It just blew my mind that I can understand why the Kenyan person would do it. Believe it or not, I know a lot of people find it hard to believe, but a lot of times Kenyans are natural allies. I don't know where people are getting this from. They are competitors. They are your competitors. You really have to know how to listen and pay attention and define what an actual ally really is. I think Black Americans are really, I agree with the last caller about how unsophisticated we are. We're so unsophisticated with how the politics work. We are in the game of wolves, and we are,
oh, yes,
Black Americans are the sheep in this game of wolves. We are the sheep, and we have all these different groups and special interest groups. They are the wolves, and they're all trying to nip at our heels to get us to move where they want us to move. All these different groups are doing it. Immigrant groups, LGBTQ. There's so many different groups that are nipping at our heels to get us to move where they want us to move.
Yeah.
So anyone that believes that immigrants are just your allies, I'm not saying every single one.
No.
I understand it's not everyone, but they are competitors. They are competitors. She fought me for 1 month to get Black American Centric Caucus to get that taken off.
But you remember what was since we're doing the 50K episode, let's just bring up Irony. What did Irony say? And his dad's Ghanaian, God rest his soul, but he said he has a view. He said no immigrant comes to America to be a part of a losing team. And that was his quote. And so when you think about it from that perspective, nobody comes here to be a part of a losing team. That kind of changes your vantage point, right? That kind of changes how you think about it in terms of what they're coming here and I'm not saying everybody, Ghanaian Goddess and a bunch of other people on this show have been great supporters and are immigrants, and I got a lot of them who I won't name because I don't even know if they would like to have themselves named in conjunction with me. But I like so much of what I know about that comes from immigrants, like who are just like, Yvette, you don't want to believe what happened. So I hear what you're saying, and I think we do have to become like a sophisticated group. Like, we're so inclusive. Like, we don't have any guidelines in terms of what it takes to be included as part of our group, or not only part of our group. Like, I don't really want anybody else to be a part of the group. I want, okay, if we're gonna combine forces on something, what does that look like? What do you have to do? What I have to do? Because somebody asked me, I've taped an interview for a podcast this weekend, and somebody asked me, well, do you do kinship? Do you think you have kinship with other African countries? And I said, no. I said, listen, I do politics, and like, there are political allegiances, but I don't like save all that kinship stuff for the picnic or whatever. That's not involved in my politics. And so I think in terms of what you said about how we're not sophisticated enough, like, we have been propagandized to believe like it's all Pan-Africanism and we're all in this together, and it's just it's not based on anything, though. It's not anchored in anything real. It's anchored in like symbolism and like therapy to make us feel good about our lostness.
It's so true. We cannot continue to be sheep in this game of wolves.
No, they're gonna eat us.
What do you recommend?
What I recommend is that like, people, somebody asked me that too, like, what would you do? Like, I would love, like, first of all, we have to get the political education part down. You got, if you're watching this and you haven't followed your state and local and national leaders on Twitter, that's a problem, because you need to follow what they're doing. So the political education is first. To read the books and stuff. Like I said before, there's a Breaking Brown reading list on Goodreads. I didn't know until a member of the Breaking Brown fam told me at the Angela Project. But once you get that down, we have to start working probably on chapters, Breaking Brown chapters, right? Where we group think this whole political thing. Well, we group think it, like we're in a group, and like if you're dealing with something in Minneapolis, and we could be dealing with something similar in Atlanta, we could be dealing with something similar in Ferguson, but we're figuring out how to do this specifically for our group. We're figuring out how to do politics as a web of DOS people, but specifically in specific regions. Right? We don't really do that. We've never really done that. We've really like followed the Democratic line, and this is what the Democrats say, and we're going along with that because Republicans are awful. That's not good enough. So I want to thank you for calling in, caller. I really appreciate it. I'm going to let you go. No, thank you, caller. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm just trying to move through so I can get to as many people as I can, because everybody got something to say, and I appreciate it, and I want to hear your voices. So I am going to 314. 314, I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? 314, you there? 314? Okay, 314. 314 had too many libations. 215, I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Yes.
What's going on?
This is Dr. Cynthia Smith, and I am honored to be part of your 50K.
Oh, thank you, fam.
You have been, listen, Dr. Cardinal, I have, you're my friend, you're the friend in my head on Facebook,
That's fine.
And I follow you religiously.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
So many wonderful, dynamic things. You are such a dynamic speaker.
Oh, thank you.
You hearten this 64-year-old soul.
You 64?
I have to say that first.
You don't sound 64.
Before I go, yes, I'm 64. I don't know whether you know me but by face, but I got my degree this May. I got my doctoral degree this May.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. But that's not why I'm calling. I'm calling because you said so many things. See, I'm an anti-racism essayist, I'm a writer, and all that other good stuff. But what you said, I'm not going to keep you, but you touched on 3 really important points.
Okay.
2 of them specifically. One of them has to do with why I don't use the moniker POC or people of color. It wouldn't last that long anyway. Because what that does is it groups us into a great big pile and it diminishes African American descendants of the enslavement.
You're right about it. You're right about it.
And then you talked about neutral, natural, and normal. Now, I teach this, and I talk about this a lot. This was a concession that was done. See, remember, I'm 64, so I was born back in those days when racism was overt, before the paradigm changed.
Yeah,
and when they covered it up and hid it in the background and put a swastika on a white guy's forehead and say, okay, this is racism. Okay? What they did as a conception was to make whiteness, and that was that third thing, which ain't color.
What is it?
Neutral, natural, and normal.
Yep.
And so, in the meantime, while they make it a neutral, natural, and normal, all these white people who really don't have nothing and don't have the real power. In fact, I wrote an essay about that. White people who think they have power when they really don't. What that did effectively was take away the one thing that they thought they had, because they didn't have, they live in their own subjugation, but they don't even think of it as subjugation because of their economic class test. What was taken away from them and substituted with normal, natural, and neutral was their whiteness. And that's why they so damn mad now. And that's why now they're like, yay, we're white again. I mean, what the brand say? I'm a black boy.
Oh, no, yeah.
Black boy from South Carolina, and they telling me to shut up. I said to myself, shut up. White boy. But it's just that idea that when I was growing up, there were newsreels because there was no social media or anything. We went to the movies. I went to the movies 25 cents. And in the movie theater, before the actual big movie came on, Tarzan, they would have a newsreel, and they would say, this is the first time that the white man has entered or has discovered. See, but you don't have that now. There's at least 2 generations that haven't gone through that.
Oh, yeah. I ain't never seen that. I saw it on TV on the anthology.
I'm saying that to say that people like you, young people like you, Yvette,
I'm old.
I look at you and I say, thank you. Because it has to be said. It can't be put back in the background anymore. Trump effectively put it out there, and we got to keep it out there now. We can't let it go back, and we can't go back and say, well, I didn't get that job because, I might not have, but maybe I wasn't. No, you didn't get that job because your ass was African American descendants of the enslavement.
And everything that comes with DOS, like
in terms of diversity, they'll get to the Ghanaians. But you won't get it. We are always the ones that get the raw end of the deal.
But let me say one thing. Like even if you even we say, well, I didn't get the job because I needed XYZ skill and I didn't have it, and we blame ourselves. We don't really ever think that. Listen, Negro, the reason you don't have that skill is because you DOS and everything you come from. That's why you don't have that extra thing.
Listen, Yvette, I'm not going to hold you, but I did want to talk about this. While I was in school, they had a course called SEM, Strategic Enrollment Management. Well, girl, once I got inside that course, and I was reading the book, and it talked about now listen to this, the upheaval of the upheaval now. Our equal rights was considered an upheaval in this textbook. In the 70s, early 70s, this dude created this thing called Strategic Enrollment Management. And I thought to myself, that's because they needed to strategically manage the influx and enrollment of all the people that were going to be coming into college and getting an education. And to this day, that crap is in effect, and it permeates the higher educational system now to the extent that they've twisted it and turned it. Now it's part of that whole meritocracy thing that they're using to deny African American descendants of the enslavement education, higher education now. So with
you. I appreciate you calling in. You on fire tonight now. Now you get some.
Yeah, girl. I always am. I'm just glad I got a chance to talk to you.
I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate you calling in because you sizzling. You sizzling tonight. I feel the grease. You gotta understand. Like she talked about a skill set. Obama had that skill set. His mother's white. His grandparents are white. Like he had that skill set. Like his father's out of the picture. So he was raised by white people. Like this is a white life. He had that skill set. Like what she was talking about, and we don't understand. Like what we think. Well, he's black like us. No, he's anchored in something. And I talked about thinking about cost, right? But you have to also think about anchoring. So think about what cost did this person pay? Is the cost in their family? Well, also think about where are they anchored? So the cost is not in their family. Where are they anchored? If Obama was anchored in white wealth, that Puna, whatever school he went to, that school that his grandfather got him into, the money that his grandmother left, that's anchoring in white wealth. Kamala Harris's Indian mom moved her to Canada and gave her that skill. Now they competing with us, and we see them as us. So we don't see them as competition for the same stuff that we have and the same stuff that we need and all of that stuff. So it's all very interesting. I'm going to 903. 903, what is your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette.
Hey, turn down your laptop in the background. What's going on? Take your time.
We still win.
Huh?
Lost.
What happened?
We don't win. It's lost.
What's lost? What's lost, family? What's your name, though? Where you calling from? What's your name? We ain't had no proper introduction now.
James.
Okay. Now, what's lost?
We are.
Okay.
There's no advantage.
Oh.
At all. Two things.
Okay.
You told me before, you're silencing.
You're breaking up a little bit. You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
Yvette?
Uh-huh. I had to let the caller go. I think he might have had some libations. Y'all don't drink too many libations. I know we celebrate tonight, but don't drink too many libations before you call in. Just keep it to a minimum. Maybe one and a half if you're drinking wine. One if you're drinking liquor. Okay? I understand it's a celebration. I understand all that. Y'all got to go to work in the morning too? Just calm yourself. 808, I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Good evening, Dr. Carnell.
What's going on, family?
From Hawaii.
They was filling your car. You from last week?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I appreciate that.
I'm not going to keep you long tonight. I just had a couple of points and listened to part of the show. I missed some of it. But based on what some of the other callers were saying, one thing that is very important when we're talking about sophistication, information, ways in which we can actually fight back, you as you keep trying to explain to everyone, you have to have a political education. And part of that, I would recommend that the entire Breaking Brown family and anyone else who watches the show, who's interested, should take the time to go to USCIS, the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services.gov. They need to go there because they have a page there that is specifically dedicated to upcoming local engagements. And they have them in different states. They have different meetings. They have them in schools, plazas, libraries, whatever. And these are free to the public. Some of the classes are called Immigration 101 or what have you, many different aspects of it. And they actually collaborate. And if you're interested in partnering with them to host an event, they will get with people in the community. And in order for us to be able to argue these points about our specific identity, our specific claim, we have to be versed in this. We have to understand how this process even works and what the loopholes are and the people who are working to close them and what we can do about that. So I really wanted to just put that resource out there.
Okay. Thank you.
Because it's critical. how can we talk about it from a non-emotional standpoint? We have to be rooted in the facts. You know, we have to be. So again, it's uscis.gov for the family.
Okay, thank you, Fran.
And then I have one other quick point. You're welcome. I had one other quick point was just, you know, when you're talking about, you know, a couple of weeks ago when I called in, I talked about identity theft. And this is true. This is what's happening with the man you were talking about on the show. This is what is happening with shape-shifting, dark-colored people, you know, who are using the energy, you know, of our history and our struggle, you know, to co-op, you know, and make their way. And so, you know, one of the things that is tied to is the other thing we had talked about recently on the show, you know, as far as like this movie. The number one way that we understand the history of any people all over the world primarily is through the preservation of their art. And we have to understand the seriousness of that and the power of image. You know, who is representing us? And symbols and images outlast the people who create them. And so our family, the Breaking Brown family, we have to understand that if we fall back from controlling this narrative, we are allowing another people to become the face of our history. People who do not even like or respect us. This is a very serious problem. Don't you think for 1 minute that these people who are behind this film do not understand the power of releasing this movie with all the talk of putting Harriet Tubman on American currency? They do understand the power of association and the long-term mental impact of that type of connection. It's like anybody in the Breaking Brown family, when you see Malcolm, and if your brain ties him immediately to Denzel, then on a basic level, you understand how that works. So how much more powerful is that when an image is tied to money that goes all over the world? You gonna let somebody else come and be the face of your ancestors? No. We have to understand this.
And let me just, that would have been so foreign though. That would have been so foreign. If somebody had told us that a foreign person was going to play Denzel, I think during that time we would have played Malcolm X as opposed to Denzel Washington. We said, Denzel's not going to play Malcolm X. We're going to have a foreign-born person play him. We would have rioted back then. Like, we wouldn't have had it. We would not have had it.
We would have blown it all up because, you know why? Because Malcolm and his legacy is sacred to us. Regardless of whatever game people want to play about his mom having Caribbean roots, so what? A lot of us have Caribbean roots one way or another because that's where enslavement began in the hemisphere. So what? He had a black American life. He was impacted as a black American man.
And he didn't and he didn't have no problem with having a black American life. He threw himself into it. He didn't try to be like, I'm not one of y'all. He was like, no, I'm in here for this fight. It's what it is. Let's get with it then.
He chastised people who tried to do that, in fact. He did not separate himself from that because there was no separation. And see, people got slick later on, and it was cool and cute to do that, which is why everybody is asserting that now. But you couldn't pull that in the 50s and the 60s.
No,
it didn't matter
they cut you with a knife, switchblade.
You lived where black people lived, and you lived that life.
Yeah, because we were the majority.
About this,
we were the vast majority, though.
Our family to understand. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I said that's partly because too, like we had from 1980 on, we had a huge increase in number of black immigrants. So if you were like during that time you came here, you were a small number of black immigrants, so you had to get on board or get messed up in the street. See now it's so many, the narrative has changed because it's much more than it used to be, and I think that number has changed a lot. But I'm gonna let you finish your thought, fam. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and you know what? It's true, and it's not just the number; it's the visibility. It's the visibility that they have because of being allowed to use affirmative action. And we look around, and they are running our HBCUs and so many other things. It's the visibility that they have. And so, to tie it back to this film, I want to make another point that's very critical that I don't hear anybody talking about. We have got to understand that this is not just entertainment. Sam Jackson, you put up that quote a couple of weeks ago. The first thing he said was what? He said they don't cost as much. What that means is that they're driving down wages for American DOS and film and television. This is work. Have we forgotten that the Screen Actors Guild is a union? Compensation, benefits, and health coverage?
What?
We have to understand what that means. We are under siege, to the left and the right. And this is happening to us, whether it is the man that you did the program about, or whether it's some of the people who are coming from continental Africa, trafficking, as I said before, on our struggle. We're to the left and to the right. American DOS is dealing with people who once upon a time stole our bodies and sold us for profit, and now they're stealing our identity and they're doing the same.
Oh, my.
We have got to stop letting them lie to us and say that there is no difference between us when it fits their purpose. No. The difference is that they run from the fire, and we're built from it.
Ooh, wait. You say they run from the fire and we are built for it. Oh, you gotta put that on a shirt. They run from the fire and we are.
Yeah, we're built from it.
Built from it. But I would take it all the way. I would take it to the next level. We're built from it and for it. Because whatever you built from, you built for it.
That's right.
Bam! I gotta let you go. I gotta let you go on that. That's like a perfect thing to end on. That's like I appreciate you calling in.
That's all I got. That's all I got tonight for the family. And I did mention this before, but I do support you every month.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I am a paid subscriber to your program and supporting you and holding it down for American DOS family out here in the beautiful islands of Hawaii.
Oh, I appreciate you. I sure do appreciate you. Oh, you be on fire. They were talking about, that call from Hawaii was good. And you live in a tropical place. But what she's saying is just the truth. Like, why y'all keep running? And then, like, we always talk about, like, illegal immigrants are, pushing down wages. But we never talk about, like, what Samuel L. Jackson said about they cheap. And we never talk about them pushing down wages. This is about money. It's the richest country in the world. I can't go back to Nigeria and build a house for a little bit of money. Like, I can't do that. I don't have third world connections. I'm born and bred in this first world country. So we have to think about all of that. And that's just the truth. Built from it and for it. Understand we're built from this fire and for this fire, child. And see, the reason you don't do so well is because you're not built from it or for it. And understand it, like, it wasn't just like when I talked about Malcolm X, when I talked about Denzel Washington playing it. Understand that movie MLK. Understand that MLK and Coretta were played by non-DOS people. How did we allow that to happen? Both MLK and Coretta were played by non-DOS people. I don't even understand. These were both foreign-born people. And Yellow way. I don't remember what his name, David. Oh, Yellow. My tongue, it just fails me every time. I really tried. I really tried. One day I tried, and I tried to memorize before the show a name, and I still messed it up. And sometimes I try to go past the name real fast, so maybe y'all don't know I messed it up. I'm like, and it don't work no more because people always catch it now. But you know who, the one who played MLK. So I'm coming now to 347. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, can you hear me?
I can hear you good, fam. What's the biz? What's going on?
Hey, it's Jenny from Brooklyn.
You always so happy when you call in.
Hey, girl, congratulations on your 60K. Ray. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, I've been watching for a long time. It was Your Black World. And I remember when you and Amy first come and start the show.
I know.
Shout out to Trigger. Because you sang on the phone to me all the time. But it's all good.
So what's on your mind today? I appreciate all the love. What's going on? What's on your mind?
Well, in fact, I had to call to really back you up when you say that melanin is not really a factor. Because I can tell you this. Because of the history with Haiti and Jamaica, because when they had their revolution, our slave bookman was there and was involved in their revolution, right?
Uh-huh.
So whenever Haiti have any kind of natural disaster, whatever have you, they always look to run to Jamaica. We take them in. More so than the Dominican Republic. And it's just a string that separates that country, right?
Yeah.
So they always will come into the country. But we don't want them in the country. Like, at one point, the citizens rose up and said, listen, enough is enough. There's too many of them in here. You understand me? We have limited resources, and
We don't want them here. And I mean, as violent as Jamaica is, they had no audacity to say it was the Haitians that was helping to raise up the number of violence that was happening in the country. It didn't matter they were black, like us. We didn't want them there because we don't have enough resources. Now they come in, they're running from a dirt poor country, running to our country with nothing to offer. We didn't want them there. The government had to cut off the borders and say no more. We can't keep taking it every time you have a problem. It doesn't matter they were black like us. We don't want them there. And they had to cut them off when they stopped coming into the country.
Yeah.
Just like when I went to, it happened. That's not enough to buy us. You can't come to Jamaica and say because you're black.
Finite resources. Finite resources. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have enough. The government barely doing enough for us, and here you're going to come and run from your country. No, you have to go back again. You can't stand here. You got to go. I mean, it's not enough. Even when you go to Europe, when I was in Eastern Europe, and they don't want other Europeans. Europeans don't want other Europeans in their country.
Yep.
They don't want them there, regardless of the fact that they're white just like them. They don't want them there because of the history that separated them in the first place. And they still hold on strong to that history. They don't want other people. Same thing when I was in Southeast Asia.
Absolutely.
It was the same thing. The people from Thailand, they don't like the Chinese. They don't like them in the country. They have nothing positive to say about it. They take offense if you look at somebody that's from Thailand and can't tell them apart from the Chinese. They take offense to that. They don't like it. And they and to the naked eye, they all look alike. They don't like it. So melanin is not enough to bind you. And the funny thing is, it's only here where everybody uses melanin to bind everybody.
Yeah, people of color. What does that even mean?
Sorry, if I said it again?
No, I said like this. So here we are like this is people of color. Like, what does that even mean? Like, what are you talking about?
I don't know. Is this country right here about people of color? I don't know where that really comes from. It's really this country to come here because it don't fly no place else but here. I don't know. It's only here.
Yeah.
And those same people that's inventing these terminologies in their country, melanin is not binding them. The Caribbean is a class system. That's how we separate each other because everybody's predominantly black. So then you can't use that to separate you. It becomes a class system.
Oh, wow.
And we have class and caste system in the Caribbean. Yeah, we do. We have colorism in Jamaica.
Okay.
We have colorism there. Because that's how we use in class to separate the poor from the well-to-do. So we can't use melanin. Every country, if everybody's the same as a homogeneous society and everybody's pretty much the same, you have to find other things to separate you. Because people always want to be separate. People always want to be better than the other person next to them. So you always have something to separate you. So it can't be melanin.
Yeah.
It has to be class and lineage, where you come from, where you go to school, where your parents, where they work for, do you have family in ministry?
And so what kind of blows my mind is that, like, you know, how everybody else gets to have, like, how everybody gets to understand their country, right? In terms of, like, we have to do what's best for our country. So we have to be nationalistic, right? We have to understand what is best for our country and our community in terms of our resources. But when it comes to, like, American Black DOS, it's looked down upon if we say we have to too. And people will tell us, like, well, you're not really American. What do you mean? How so? How so? And then tell us we're being divisive. No, it's the same thing you just said. We don't have the resources. We never got what we needed as American blacks. You want to come here and play Harriet and do all kinds of other stuff and not understand, like, this is not about melanin. This is about what is best for us as individuals. And y'all, a lot of people who come here, y'all aren't even trying to be allies anyway. Like, you know, a lot of people who come here, they're not even trying to understand what happened to us and try to get together politically with us. No, they're not trying to do that. So why? So what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, they're not trying to do that because when you're back home, they tell you America is the land of opportunity. And you go there because the black Americans are there and they're lazy and the government takes care of them. But then you have to understand that America is supposed to be a first world country. And in first world countries, you pay a lot of taxes, so the government can't take care of you when your back is against the wall. Third world country, the government don't do anything for you. You have to find a way. You have to take a nickel and turn it into a dime by any means necessary. Which is why we have so much crime and violence and so much vigilante justice, because the government is too corrupt and they don't do anything for us. So then we leave with that mindset and come to this country and say, wait a minute,
Y'all got free housing, y'all got free education, y'all got this program, y'all got that program, and y'all can't take advantage and do anything with it, or y'all must be lazy. Not understanding the history of America and why these programs are in place, but supposed to be for the people. We're not trying to come here to understand that all we know is our country. We can't make our way, and if we come here and come steal up your resources and take it back home or bring everybody else in, that's just what we're going to do. I mean, it's a sad thing to say, but that's the reality of why people come to this country. It really is.
Yeah, I think you're right, Carla. I think people come to the country for that and to sharpen their knives. Like, people don't understand. Like, what do you mean? No, when people come here to go to Harvard and Yale, they come here to like figure out how to be better despots. And so I totally agree with you, Carla. I appreciate it, and I appreciate. Thank you, Carla, for calling in on the 50 day, and I appreciate you being here from like a long time ago. I remember you from a long time ago. So I appreciate it, fam.
Yes.
Thanks, fam. Yeah, I'm gonna take one more caller, fam. I'm gonna take one more caller. Take one more caller. I'm going to 720. What is your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Jerome, Colorado.
Hey, Jerome, what's going on?
Before, I'm doing great. I'm also a donator. So
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Why I donate. Okay. I'm a simple man with simple plans. You said earlier, how are young people going to decide whether who's in their group or family or not? One of my things I use, simple thing, is the barbecue picnic refrigerator analogy. If these people are family, they can come in your house, go to your refrigerator, go to your barbecue, pick off your grill. So when I'm meeting someone or see someone to see if they're part of my family, I want to see who your grandparents are, where you're from, what you believe in, are you part of the DOS family? So I put it in that analogy. Am I going to let this person who I just met, who I hear about, come to my house and eat out of my refrigerator, pick off my grill? Just plain and simple math, just like that. That's what I use.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
So that's just one of the, like a plan. If people want to use it, they can say, here's a person I listen to on TV. If I don't know everything about them, I'm not going to say just because they have melanin or color, they're part of my family. But once I recognize them or interview them or find out about them, yeah, come on over to my house. Come on over to my house, go on my refrigerator if you want to. That's all. That's all. Just wanted to explain.
I appreciate you calling in, fam. Family got analogies. Everybody got analogies. Everybody got all kinds of things. I appreciate it. I appreciate everybody calling in. I want everybody to have a good, listen, fam, listen. Before I forget, let me put this up one more time. If you are in Chicago, let me put it up big. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but if you all are going to be in Chicago October the 6th, 12 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Location 6423 West 63rd Place, Chicago, Illinois 60638. Please come and check me out. Please come and check me out. We can have a good conversation, do some good Breaking Brown stuff, and figure out how to be a better Breaking Brown family. That's what every family needs, right? To figure out how to be a better family. So, if you are going to be in Chicago, please let's why won't this thing get smaller? I don't know. Please come out and support the Breaking Brown family. This is Breaking Brown family that's doing this, that's putting this on. So please come out for that. That is again October the 6th. That's a Saturday. So Chicago, if you're gonna be around, come out. Let's talk. Let's have conversations, face to face. Let her hug your neck. So anyway, family, I want to thank everybody for the 50K. It's been a long trudge, but I appreciate it, and hopefully we build this. We can be a force to be reckoned with if we really do this thing right, and we pivot right, and we build right. We can really be something that people have to deal with. We've already seen that on Twitter. Like this whole thing, like I said before, this kind of how we define ourselves as DOS. The whole controversy with Lovey, with Harriet Tubman, all of that. That's me. That's Antonio Moore. That's Breaking Brown family. We've done that. That's been us. So if we can do that at 50K, imagine what we could do with more people and more people on Twitter and more people causing a ruckus and paying attention and like bringing me information and stuff to look at and talk about and brainstorm. Like imagine where we could go. So I think, I just want us to really understand the potential of this project. Like part of what we have to understand in terms of what we're doing is that we could really build something. And we are building something, but we could really continue that to like really do something. Remember the hookworm, like Congresswoman Sewell, Terry Sewell, something like, I can't remember her name, but like remember the whole thing. We actually got her to like deal with hookworm. Now she hasn't dealt with it enough, and we probably gonna have to check back. But remember, we did that. Nobody and there were people in the community already trying to work. But that was us who tweeted her and said, listen, your district is majority black and they got hookworm problems. Why are you talking about DACA? So, like, one of the things we have to understand with ourselves is that we already have wins under our belt. And that's just us right now. We already have some wins under our belt. And we need to, as we go forward post 50, we just need to kind of build on those wins. Because we have them already. And so what we have to do is just kind of build on that. And fam, like I think it's gonna be a wonderful year, and I look forward to it. So Breaking Brown fam, thank you for the 50,000. Let's continue to come up with those. Let me read some more as I go off the air. Let me read some more of those Breaking Brown isms. You just don't know enough, right? The inability to see outside of one's own experience is the height of narcissism. I'm not guessing who you. Oh, somebody, Alexander, they love you. 202, I'm coming to 202. But DOS don't need government. We don't need everyone, just a critical mass. That's true. I said it all the time. We don't need everyone, just a critical mass. We are the priority minority. That was Dr. Cosby. Keep it pimping. I got that one from Cat Williams. We have a lot. Either you're stupid or you think I'm stupid. That's another one. There is no black business without black politics. That's been one for a long time. Hold on, fam. I'm gonna let you finish. Boomer Hook. That was Antonio, actually. I'm not even gonna call it white capital because all capital is white. What is the truth? I don't know what to tell you. Are you a crazy person? Do I say that? Okay, well, fine. Are you a crazy person who does that? This is willful ignorance. You don't know enough to have this conversation. Get your libations. Of course, get your libations is there for every episode. Creature comforts. We got a runner. Every time somebody tries to do an escape hatch thing, I say that we got a runner. Establish a context. Negro whisperers. These are aberrations. Well, me and Ira were together. Put the clip up, Ira. Go way back. See, this is yeah. So it's a lot. If you go to my Facebook page, he's not your reparations. If you go to my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, it's a lot of that up. So you'll see a lot of that. So again, I want to thank everybody for calling in and coming in and celebrating this 50. Those are the sayings. You can go on my personal Facebook and see the rest of them. And I appreciate everybody. And we're gonna be back, and we're gonna do this. And we're gonna keep doing it until we can't do it no more. It is what it is. Thanks, fam. Bye.